moving forward. When we're talking about mega events, these are truly Instagram and hype worthy. It showcases what is already there, but are likelier to succeed if preceded by micro events. Micro events lay the foundation for your mega event. It is an opportunity to build your legacy. I'm also looking at my notes. Identify transferable skills, build your network. Who champions your success? Think about it. Your inner circle. Who there champions your success? And she goes on to say, once you've thought of these people, get in touch with them. Say thank you. Make sure that you know your why, have a vision, think big, small action steps today. And she even had this fantastic quote up. If you're only thinking that what it is you want to achieve, you can do all by yourself, well, then you are not thinking big enough. When we imitate, we only become the best version of ourselves, but you are not good enough to actually compete. It is when you innovate that you get to do that you can compete with the others. When we innovate, we can win. She gave the Barcelona Olympics as the best example for what they've done for the economy, spatial impact, government and social, as well as environmental impact. Has everyone taken a photo of this? Awesome, right? Can we have a round of applause again for MICECon 2023 and producing content like this? All right, we've got our next presenter coming up very soon, but I need to give them some time just to make sure that the presenters what he's about to present to all of you runs smoothly. But I am really impressed. I should have done this yesterday, but I didn't get to. But I'm really impressed with how there are many of you dressed in theme. Hindi ko alam kung sino yung mga kinausap niyong kaibigan, kamag-anak at nahiniraman ng outfit, but can I have those who are dressed as land, air, and space explorers, please come forward. Come on down. If you know you are dressed in Captain, please come in front of our plane. Yes, Captain. Ay, sorry naman, nagpalit talaga ng salamin si Captain. Maverick, please come forward as well, Maverick, and all of the flight attendants. Our space explorers. This is just amazing, you guys. Everyone who, if you know you are dressed in theme, whether you are exploring the land, water, or space, or air, come on forward. I like this. We have a lady pilot as well, female pilot. This is awesome. Come on up with me. And even before, we had flight attendants and land explorers, or those who explored space. We had pirates. Definite, right? So she definitely thought of how she was going to come in dressed today. And yes, still very much in theme. Thank you. And talagang stand out. Come on up. Anyone else? If you can see that the person next to you is dressed as they should today, have them come forward, please. Can we have a little bit more on this side? Okay, tatabi ako kay Captain. As a head flight attendant, there's actually a term for that. I'm trying to remember the word. Is there anyone? Purser, there you go. That's I've been thinking about it. Is there anybody else out there who should be up here but isn't? No more? Okay. We're going to see Tom Cruise. Ayan, andito na po. You don't have to look very far. All right, let's pose for our photo. There. Hindi, practice pa lang yung rehearsal. Let's smile for the photographers. Okay. Big smile, and there you're getting the love as taught by Amber. Everyone's cheering you on. Thank you so much. Another round of applause, please, for these wonderful folks. I absolutely love it. I want to know where they got that space outfit. Lalapit po ako sa inyo mamaya, aalamin ko, kasi baka kailanganin ko yan for my next event. All right. And just another reminder for everyone, you do have your IDs with the QR code, as Amber suggested earlier. An event like this one is an opportunity for you to build your network, to expand your circle. Make sure you take time out to scan the QR code that is on people's IDs. You will come across their name, their email address, and the company name. Of course, we've kept out the mobile number for data privacy reasons, okay? If you want to ask for their number, go right ahead. It's up to them if they want to give it to you. Okay, so right now, let me see. Are we going to? Okay, we're good to go. Thank you so much once again to Amber. It was definitely a pleasure to have you here in the Philippines MICE conference. From events, we are now jumping to telling stories. Who doesn't love a good story, right? I mean, that's probably the reason why we spend many hours on Instagram, on social media, because we are checking out people's stories, albeit through a quick video or a post. We just want to know stories. So creating high quality content differentiates the ordinary from the extraordinary. What will make tourists leave the comforts of their homes to attend on site? With the many webinars we experienced during the pandemic, the event organizer is now confronted with the challenge of creating content that will prompt people to leave the comforts of their homes. The fusion of online and on-site events also poses a challenge to how we can engage both the on-site and online audiences. Now, the delivery of the event's core message is no longer the usual lecture type. Our attendees prefer that their voices are heard and that they can become part of the conversation. Furthermore, with participants still able to participate through hybrid events, our content and execution should be well planned to ensure that our event has a story strong enough to make people leave their houses and be physically present. MICE should also be able to adapt to the changing tourist behavior post-pandemic, building on the learnings of the pandemic, but also maximizing the opportunities for revenge tourism, with the mobile generation of Xennials becoming a powerful new market. Now, we are well in the information age where market competition is now about who can put the best story, the best content out there. The rapid growth of digital and multimedia marketing has put pressure on different industries to compete for attention. Hence, the challenge of making the best and quality content. Now, leading the discussion on how content can be king in telling stories to make people come is a leading strategist who has developed strategic solutions to client challenges, created industry partnerships, research projects, and global solution for over 30 years. His company, Myriad, represents more tourist offices than any other company in North America because of its specialization on international travel with private clients and governments across 5 continents. He also serves as the chairperson of the Travel Consul International Marketing Agency Consortium. And aside from his foray into tourism and MICE, he also serves on several nonprofit advisory boards and shares his knowledge as an educator. And he is here with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm Philippine welcome, Davao welcome to our speaker, Mr. Alan Elliott Meshen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. So, at the risk of sounding like a fast-talking American, we're going to jump right into this presentation because we've got a lot of information to cover. So, let's see here, so much information. We heard the title of content creation and storytelling, otherwise known as getting the right message to the right people at the right time. That's really what we're trying to achieve. So just by way of background, after that little introduction, I happen to be one of the founders and partners of a company called MMGY Global, which is the largest company of marketing to destinations around the world. Now, we have about 500 people who every day inspire people to go places. We have offices throughout North America, Europe, and the Middle East. So we're proud to be a part of that. We have over 600 clients, mostly destinations, tour companies, airlines, cruise lines, etc. So that's a little bit of the background and some of the information that we come with. And we're going to give you a lot of research before you start to tell a story. You need to have that background of that story. So first of all, what this presentation will not do. It will not give you every answer you need to walk out and be a great storyteller. It will not tell you the best business events to pursue. And we will not make you the ultimate marketing guru in the next 30 minutes. But what we will do is share some research, because without the research, you don't have the benchmark. And remember, if you can't measure, you can't manage. So you do need that benchmark. We're going to offer some marketing examples and insights of things that you can do moving forward. And we're going to challenge your creativity and the way you've thought of things for a long time. And this is the best thing that you're going to walk away with to challenge the things that you've done. So first of all, the mice market. Who came up with this name? Disney? They're the ones who know about mice. Really, maybe it's time for a rebrand. Think about this. 1 out of 10 people in the world work in the tourism industry, and the other 90% don't know what MICE is. When you think about these sectors, it's exhibits, it's mainly conferences, and it's mostly meetings. And incentives is a whole nother area. So I'm going to challenge you today because there's a term that's starting to make headway. And what should we be calling MICE? We should be calling it business events. Because that's what it is, and it doesn't need an explanation anymore, does it? It's business events. That's what we do. And that's why we're all here. We're here for a business event. So yes, I'm going to challenge your creativity, and hopefully next year you invite me back for BCon. So the story begins. How are we going to pull this off? What are we going to do? First of all, we have so many different ways to tell stories, and the message needs to be different for each people who receives the story. The destinations and its partners promote different messages because the audiences are different. And so you can't have one story, one size that fits all. Take a look at this. This is how we look at things. There's leisure tourism, there's business tourism, and there's business events. And when we look at this background, we say each one of these things is different, and each one of these audience requires a different message and a different story. Look at the characteristics. Who owns the event? Is it a corporate client? Is it an association? And so on. So each one of these people requires a different way for them to hear that story. And you have to look and say, what's my priority? Where is this person? What do they need to hear? What is their motivation? It's another element. Who's their target audience? What's the motivation of that target audience? And who's the person you're going to talk to? Don't worry, I'll make these all available. Oh, thank you. You can put down the phone. Okay. And what's the attendee's motivation? Gosh, leisure travel seems so interesting right now, doesn't it? We just got to get somebody who wants to go on vacation. This we have to go to organizers, we have to go to attendees, and the attendees make decisions, but the motivation is very different. So as we develop our stories and our marketing techniques, we've got to look at all these different audiences because the motivation for the attendance decision maker is very different sometimes from the organizer. And where do we talk about this? So one of the key things is, who are the key players? Who's making this decision? So often we think, oh, will the attendee make the decision? Well, think about it. The attendee can't make the decision unless the organizer has made the decision first for them, and then that other step is to do that. You can't get to one before you get to the other. So once again, that motivation is not necessarily the last person who comes, but the person who's the organizer. Then from the organization, who makes the decision? Is it one person? Is it a board? Where's that board located? These are all the big decisions, and who has the influence? We often say, oh, this is the organization, but the reality is it's a board, and there's the old people from the board who always make the decision. So are those the people we have to tell the story to get the biggest event? And then where are they located? We might say, oh, there's this great organization in Europe, and it's the oncology convention, and we're going to go to Europe. The reality is most of the members are somewhere else in the world, and most of the board members are somewhere else in the world, and so you've got to look at it from that perspective and say, what story do they hear? So what do? You just put a simple diagram up and you say, what's the process? Let's face it, this is a complicated business. And where's the decision made? Is it the Congress? Is it the association? Is it the PCO? Is it membership voting? And it's important because all too often, what do? We have a sales pitch, and we can't wait to get in front of somebody with that sales pitch so we can talk to them, just like we're in the retail trade. Guess what? That's not how it works. We have to step back and say, who is it, at what point, when do I talk to this person, and once again, what do they need to hear? Because depending on the event, if it's incentive, if it's meetings, all these elements change, and we have to keep all that in consideration, and remember all the influences that will impact them have to be under consideration. So, when you look at even industry associations, and this is just a few I pulled from the UK, you understand each one of them has their own priority. So the fun part for me is you get to come up with a little twist to your story each time, depending on the association, who are the people you want to reach from that association. The other consideration is, where do I want to get my business from? So you look and say, where do these meetings, based on size, where are they? You might be really encouraged and say, well, Asia's the third. 31%, that's pretty good. Well, it is, but it isn't, considering that Asia has over half the population of the world, but only a third of the business events that are out there. And you might say, okay, well, North America and Western Europe. But then take it one step further, because we're in business, and take a look at key markets by spend. And you see North America really takes the lion's share, and Europe. When you combine those two, you have well over 50% of the business is coming from North America and Europe. And so your focus is that old saying, follow the money. And this is how you do it. So now I'm able to bring in some research from the US and Europe to share with you, because once again, that research is the foundation of how we're going to move ahead. And I want to take a little look between attendees and planners, because it's really different the way we look at things. First of all, meeting locations. And this might challenge you and your creativity of who makes the decisions and why. What are some of the evaluations? What's the number one evaluation? The level of crime in the destination. Is it a safe place? And there's several reasons. And you can look, the planner is actually more worried about it than the attendee, because they think of liability and everything else that goes into it. That perceived lack of safety has an even more important element to it too. So we take a look at that. What about the types of meetings that are out there? Well, look at the importance of in-person meetings, and we all say that. Why? Because we're in the industry. Look at the attendees. They're not so concerned about in-person meetings, but the industry is. Why would that be? Because that's how we make our money. So we think we can tell them what they need to do. and it must be an in-person meeting when they're very happy doing hybrids. So don't believe your own story when the story isn't for you, it's for your client and the ultimate client. Now, we can't talk about this nowadays without talking about COVID-19 and its impact. The attendees are more likely to cancel than the planner. Big surprise, why? Because the planner has all the money on the table. But the reality is the attendees are still very conscious of it, and sometimes today, when we ask about safety, they're just as concerned about COVID as they are about crime. So the idea of protocols, the idea of what the country's doing is so very important. Not just what the meeting's doing, but what the country is doing. And that's why the destination management organizations are so well versed in trying to figure out how to get that point across. And especially from the North American point, it's the legal liability. Every company, and we heard about duty of care yesterday, every company now has to say, what if I send my employees and my employees get sick? Am I liable for that? And so once again, the attendees are open to it. They're willing to sign waivers and everything, but we have to consider that once again when we tell the story of the destination and what we're going to do. Now, what are the factors that impact the decisions to attend a meeting in a specific destination? You can see a lot of them. Let's focus in on these specific ones that have the most dramatic. And once again, we're going to look at the difference between the planners and the attendees. So the general appeal of the destination, this is fascinating. The planners more worried about it than the attendees. Then the attendees are looking at the whole package and they're looking at the content as much as they're looking at the destination. But the planners are preoccupied with it because they don't know about the content. They only know about their planning, the ease of getting to the host city by plane. We get preoccupied. We need a direct flight, where the attendees are willing to take 2 flights to come, and so on and so forth. And you see the differences, the relatively safety, the compelling activities in the destination becomes less and less important. So once again, think about the audience, what's important to them, and who you're going to talk to. Now, keep in mind, quite often, your sales pitch has to be to this person. Your story has to be sold to this person before it even gets to this person. So we've got to have those considerations and keep that in mind as we move forward. One of my favorite categories, which used to be called bleisure, which is now called blended travel, which is extending business. And I can guarantee you, most of you in this room or in this business are leaving money on the table. That's all right. I heard it, and I see all these entrepreneurs, backs straight. What do you mean I've left money on the table? Because over half the people who come to these events stay. And are you capitalizing on that money? Do you even remember that money? And do you realize that the average person who comes to a conference, when they stay, spends on average 80% more than a leisure traveler does? Why? Because somebody just paid for their airfare, somebody just paid for their hotel, and now they're at a destination and they're staying. I've come here for 3 days for this conference, and I'm staying in the Philippines for another 7 days. There's more money after I stay than here. Should I stay or should I go? How would you like to expend this business trip? And this is just at the beginning of business of blended travel, when I can stay and I can still work and do everything. So over half, and those are the ones who admitted it. We know there's probably more nowadays, and quite often they bring someone with them. So there's a whole lot of money being left on the table. Now I'm going to delve a little bit into the American travelers to give you a little idea. And this is some work that was commissioned last year with the Filipino Department of Travel and Tourism. Now, when we asked people who were interested in Asia, the Philippines came right in the middle. We have some historical things from Japan and Singapore and Thailand, and a lot of people in the United States from those destinations. So this is pretty respectable. This is the thing that surprised us a little bit. Look at the average age. It's a lot younger than you might think. and it's a lot wealthier than you might think. The average American household only has an income of about $75,000 to $80,000. So this is the high end of the market. These are people who really travel a lot, and look at how much they expect to spend on travel every year. Basically $17,000 compared to the person who's not interested in the Philippines. So the good news here is these people are wealthy, they're young, and so you've got to tell a story. And it's not only that it's fun in the Philippines, it's why that it's fun in the Philippines. And we'll get to that in a little more specifics. The other thing is there's still a lot of millennials who want to come, but the average age is still 39. So we're looking for a younger market. And remember, when you market and you tell the story, there's an old adage in advertising, if you want to attract 30-year-olds, show pictures of 20-year-olds. If you want to attract 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. If you want to attract 60 or 70-year-olds, find another business, because that one's dying. So always go for the younger, and that's why you can say, let's market towards the millennials, because the older people think they're all millennials. All right, and the good news is they want to stay on average, the biggest thing is 1 to 2 weeks. And we are finding across the board that people are more oriented towards mono destinations, coming to one place and seeing as much as they can instead of going to 2 to 3 different destinations. So now let's shift from some of this research into destination storytelling. And remember, because we're in a business, it's a balance of fact and feelings. We can't just do the emotion. But once again, we have to define our audience, and we have to find them. Where are these people located? Remember these charts that I showed you? That's the starting point to say, where are they? And start to think about their influences from the different things, if it's Congress, if it's events, whatever the category is. So let's define your audience. Well, you got a heck of a job here, because it's not one millennials 39 that are wealthy. You've got all these different audiences that you have to try to talk to and target. Remember all those associations? Keep those in mind. Who are these people? How do I target them? And that first question, do I want to go global or do I want to do local? And going back to what Amber says, sometimes building a little confidence and understanding on the local allows you to get to a bigger circle, and then maybe Asia, and then go completely global. So the big question is, what makes your destination unique? And when I say destination, we're talking to some of the DMOs out there, but I also want you to think in that same sense, what makes your facility unique? And I mean unique. Keep in mind, unique means one of a kind. What makes your product unique? How is it different from your other competitors in the room? Your service. What's unique about your service? And don't say it's better or more personalized, because all your competitors are saying the same thing. So what makes you unique in that? And then I'm going to challenge you one more time, not only on a professional side, but on a personal side. Because when we talk about branding, it's not just the company, the facility, the product, or the service, it's you. So now I'm also talking about brand you. So when you go home today, you're going to think about brand you too. Now let's look at this first from the destination point of view. And if no two destinations are alike, why is it they all start to look the same? You notice this? You can't even tell where it is, can you? Somehow, romantic couples on vacation need an evening to go to the ocean. It's just all over the world. And they need a hammock, right? Every destination must have a shortage of hammocks. I never have one at home, so I need to go on vacation. And all of a sudden, when I find a hammock, I'm back in love with my spouse. It's a miracle. And all of a sudden in my family, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see my kids filled with sand in their suits on the beach. And this is one of my favorites. It's admittedly, I'm from the Midwest of the United States, and I didn't see an ocean till I was 16, but apparently people go out and have to touch the ocean. They don't want to go further, they just want to go out and touch the ocean. That's it. That's enough. I go. I don't want to go in the water. I'm going to do it. Even at night, I just want to touch the ocean. So somehow we're all starting to look alike. So who are we as a destination? We start saying, well, it's not about this, it's about everything and all that. And we start using this term. It's the experience, not the destination. Oh, seriously. All right? Every day is an experience. And then we label it. It's unforgettable. Experience the energy. Experience another world. I've over-experienced this idea. Or, this is the big buzzword, we're authentic. What the heck does that mean? What's authentic? We're this authentic. Authenticity in travel. This is actually my favorite. How to be authentic. If I have to read it, I'm probably not too authentic. Now, I will tell you the most authentic destination in the world. You guessed it, is Disneyland. Why is Disneyland authentic? Because what is promised is exactly what is delivered. And that's authentic. And I'll give you the second one, just in case you were worried. It's Las Vegas. Why? Because Las Vegas is an adult Disneyland. And what you expect is completely delivered. So it's fantastic. So then you start saying, well, we have a special culture. Of course you do. We saw 11 of them last night, and they're all special. But what makes it really special for the consumer? Whoops. We have important history. I don't know many destinations who don't. All right? And it's important to them, by all means. We have beautiful nature. Yes, of course you do. Now, why is your nature unique from every other nature that's out there? Now, this became the next thing. We have the best shopping, but that wasn't enough to say we have the best shopping. So we have to say we have locally curated boutiques. Or we have the best restaurants, but that wasn't enough. So what do you have? We have award-winning, chef-driven, food-forward eating experiences. But everybody does. So then we go back to the people. We have the friendliest people. Well, no, shoot, everybody's saying that, so what should we say? We have the most diversity in our destination, in our company, in our service. We have everything. And you realize what's making me unique. And this is the worst. We're just like this place, only sunnier. We're just like that place. We have to get beyond that. And this is the absolute worst, especially if you're in the service business. If you're an inbound tour operator, this is the worst thing to say. We have something for everyone. We can do everything. So you have no specialty at all. Oh no, we're specialized in everything. Okay? If you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to me. So then you have to say, let's define our destination story. Define your storytelling, etc. So this is one of the best pieces of research that I remember ever seeing. 64% believe the destinations they visit say a lot about who they are. So now it becomes identity, it becomes personality. Because if I go to a place, that says to everybody, why did that person go to that place? Why did they pick that place? It's like, why did that person drive that car? Or why do they wear that watch? Okay, this is a lifestyle question, not a travel question or a destination question. It reflects who I am as a person. So that means your storytelling has to do the same. So for destinations, there's 100 ways to introduce yourself. And these are all the slogans from destinations around the world. And I'll just pull out a few to show you because they're my favorite. Algeria, tourism for everybody. You've already realized that means nothing. Now we're getting a little better. Simply inspiring. Okay, so now I'm inspired by Germany. I'm starting to get somewhere. Turkey, it's all about hospitality. Be our guest. We're welcoming you. We're getting somewhere, all right? I'm getting excited about this. One of my absolute favorites, Mongolia, go nomadic. Why is that good? Because they know exactly who they are. They're not trying to be everything to everybody. It's about being nomadic. That's strong. That's strong. And this one's weak. Travel in Slovakia, good idea. I think they had a committee come up with that one. So keep in mind, your story too has to be a short story. You have to get in there quickly. In an Instagram society, we have to do it. Quite frankly, our lifestyles right now have become filled with logic and emotion. But we live in a dim sum society. Think about this. We don't want full meals anymore. We want little pieces. We want bite size. What did you do at the buffets last night? You took a little bit of everything. Nobody took the big pork thing, a little bit of everything. And when you think about it, that's how we consume media right now, too. You go on YouTube, 17 minutes. Ooh, no way. That's too much. I'll take this 90 seconds, I'll take this 90 seconds, and an hour and a half, you're still there, right? Kind of like dim sum. You just keep eating it. But it's got to be in small, digestible bites, and your stories have to be in small, digestible bites, too. So let's talk about telling your story in the West Do It. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I used to be a teacher, and I used to teach communications, and I'm going to tell you the biggest fallacy all the teachers tell you. And they're going to say, tell what you need to say. And I'm here to say, no. Do not tell what you want to say. It's the worst way to start. Tell what you need to be heard. You know how we change our vocabulary with a 5-year-old? Why? Because we want them to understand it. So you have to stop saying, what am I going to say? It's what do I need to be heard? Who's that PCO you're going to talk to? What does he or she need to hear? What's that organization? What does he or she need to hear? Not what do I have to say? As mentioned, I ran an ad agency, and I would sometimes go and present the creative to the client, and I'd say, I don't like this creative at all. They would say, well, why are you giving it to us? Well, because I'm not the audience. So change your mind. I don't want to see if you like it or not. We need to decide if your client likes it. And if they like it, you get more sales, and then you'll love the creative. The bottom line is, don't think about what you want to say. Think about what you need to be heard. So we're going to give a few examples, and I picked some that are very specific in storytelling. Now, I don't know if you've heard of the Faroe Islands, but it's a beautiful place in the Atlantic. And these guys did something very creative, and I'll let the video speak, but you know Google Maps? That's because Google went and did all the mapping for everybody. But they didn't do it in the Faroe Islands. It was too small. So the tourist department decided to do their own, but instead of driving around the islands, they put their cameras on sheep. You heard me, they put their cameras on sheep. And then let's see what happens once they did this.
Welcome to Sheep View 360. Look, Google is coming. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Until recently, the Faroe Islands had no Street View. But now I've been making Google Street View by putting 360 cameras on the back of sheep and created Google Sheep View. But I had a problem. My sheep walk freely instead of following the roads. So I also needed Google. We have agreed with Google to make Street View together. They have supplied us with cameras, a Google tracker, and training. We have come to like our very own holy version of Street View so much that we want to continue with Sheep View, and with the help from Google, we have expanded the fleet with Rebecca on her horse, Ingmar on his skateboard, Gul and her bike, Lisbeth in a kayak, and even Trenter has helped with his wheelbarrow. So if you want to help us continue the project, you can come to the Faroe Islands, borrow a camera, and help us make
Google
Sheep View.
Street View.
Sheep View.
You gotta love that, don't you? Talk about a brand, talk about their DNA, talk about who they are, talk about that story. Just from that little story, you know what the Faroe Islands is about. You know what the people are about. You know what the experience is going to be about. Why? Because they just told a story. They didn't even say, look at our beautiful nature, look at our history, look at everything like that. They just told the story, and that was enough. Now, we're here for mice, so I'm going to show you what to do and what not to do, depending, once again, on who wants to hear your story. So first, we're going to see this little video and discover the island break for Jersey in the UK.
I love hiking because it's a chance to sort of get away from your normal life. It's kind of like a meditation. It's all about sort of enjoying, slowing down and taking the hike just one step at a time.
I've never heard anything about hiking in Jersey, so I didn't have any idea what it would be like. I'd never thought of Jersey as a hiking destination.
I live in London on a canal boat with my husband, and I work in East London. Living on a canal boat is quite crammed. There's two of us in a really small space. So I think that's part of the reason that I like to get out and hike. It's good to just completely get away from everything sometimes, like have a complete change of scene and clear my head. I love walking. At home there's miles and miles of towpath, but you're sort of sharing it with loads of joggers and dog walkers, and you're breathing in the city fumes. It's not very relaxing. Over here it feels like I'm not just walking for exercise, and I'm exploring by myself. I love being connected with nature and being by the water.
Sitting here is actually amazing. It feels kind of like you're on the edge of the world. Like you can't see anything. All you can see is the ocean and these rocks, and there's nobody in sight.
Seems like there's so much space here in Jersey and not many people, so you kind of have the place to yourself, like all these beautiful landscapes, and it just feels like I'm sort of starring in my own adventure. Being here, it feels like I can recharge my batteries, sort of recalibrate, cleanse, and go back feeling refreshed.
I stopped at why? Because it's really a great storytelling ad that has nothing to do with business events. And what happens? You say, oh, we've got this great storytelling, we're going to send that to the client. And the client looks at that and says, oh yeah, that's pretty, but what's that got to do with business events? You've got to marry the two and tell the story. Now, Jersey was smart enough to say, this is for our leisure, and it's a great little story. But now, let's talk about our business events.
I'm the CEO of Digital Jersey, which is a government-funded agency to develop the digital economy in Jersey. Last September, we had about 30 speakers from around the world, from the US, from Europe, from the UK, come to Jersey to meet for 3 days to discuss the impact of artificial intelligence, mostly on the financial services industry, but also looking at issues such as the ethics of artificial intelligence. And we had about 120 attendees from the local finance and digital industries here in Jersey, all meeting with them, learning from them, discussing these issues over a great 3 days. Jersey, of course, is a world-class financial centre, so we had a lot of experts here in that field. We have great connectivity by air, so people were able to fly into London from hubs around the world, get down to Jersey, 30, 40 minutes in the air. But it's not just air connectivity. People are quite surprised when they get here to a small island that they have amazingly fast broadband speeds, amazingly fast mobile data speeds that are actually faster than the broadband they have in their homes and offices back in the UK, back in the US. What we find is people come here for an event and Jersey gets under the skin of it. They really think this is a fascinating place. You get all of the features of a much bigger country, but crammed into 45 square miles with the sunshine, with the weather, with the beaches and everything else. So Jersey really is a place where leisure and business come together to create the perfect event venue.
You see how smart that is? Remember that logical and emotional? He was showing beaches and talking about broadband. Now, if you're making a decision as an organizer, this is like, well, now I'm getting best of both worlds, aren't I? They've taken great footage, they've put it factually, they've given somebody a platform to say how successful it was. It's the case study, it's everything woven into one. It's logical, emotional, it works. It works very effectively. Now, you can take it to another degree, because that was very calming and showed the energy in your destination and the involvement of people in your destination. And this is a little video from the Melbourne Convention and Visitor Bureau. Very quick, high energy, enough of the convention center, but enough of the city, and more importantly, people enjoying the city and the convention center. So once again, both logical and emotional. Now this one's completely different. This is from Cape Town, which is a second home for me. And this has nothing to do with the city. It's a logical, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of this, but it's a logical offering that Cape Town has for conventions.
Welcome to CTICC Engage, where it is easy to create engaging events and meetings. Let's demonstrate how to navigate our platform and make meaningful connections with delegates and sponsors. On the homepage, you'll be able to update your profile, which includes information about yourself, your social media handles, and your skill set. To the right, you will find a premium branding opportunity for sponsors and stakeholders. This click-through rotational marketing banner is linked to their exhibitor booths. Sponsor and exhibitor booth pages will include a promotional video and information about the exhibitor, as well as their social media links. The agenda has a simple layout where you can find more information about the sessions. You'll be able to host plenary or breakaway sessions with chat, Q&A, and live polls. You can also use Engage to host small meetings such as Exco or committee meetings. The wonderful thing about this platform is that there's no limit to the number of attendees or breakaway sessions you'll be able to host at the same time.
You get the idea. Now, why did I show that? What's the story? The story is of technology. The story is for the organizer, oh, you're going to take away one of my headaches. The story to the organizer is, oh, there's even a way for me to make money on banner ads on this. So all of a sudden, I'm taking it down very specific from the big videos on the macro down to the micro. And what does that say about Cape Town? That they're technologically advanced, that they're way ahead of the game, that they know that they're thinking 3 steps ahead of you. And that has an influence. Remember, once again, depending on the audience, it's not just about the beautiful beaches, it's about that too. So I've got one more video to show you, and admittedly it's from the US. It's from New York, and it's the video that came out when the city was reopened after COVID. And there's something important, it's very timely. So let's go to that.
It's time for the show to begin!
Let's go!
The feeling right now in the streets is like nothing I've ever felt. It's electric, it's colorful, it's vibrant, which is why I love it.
All the flavor of the world are in New York City, but also the entire world come to New York City.
When you come to a museum, you travel from room to room, and you experience a new sense of awe.
The city of New York is a very fashionable city.
Going to a show is pure magic. Walking into a theater, seeing the lights dim, hearing that orchestra tune up. There is no New York City without Broadway.
I think people should come to New York because there is nothing like it. To be here and to understand it, you're gonna have to be here.
New York is back, baby.
Now, what do I love about that? It's time for New York. The high energy, but they let the people of New York, the people who are going to welcome you, do the talking. Really, really effective because you know your people, you are going to talk to these people, and they very subtly put in a lot of destinations where you can hold events in New York. Admittedly, it's New York, so they have a lot, but I love the energy and the fact that they say it's time to do that. And I've got one more that's a product, not a destination, and it's brand new. This campaign came out from Singapore Airlines, and it's probably one of the best storytelling ads that I've seen in a long time.
Very nice.
What makes us who we are, if not the way we experience the world? It's more than how many places we will explore. It's how many stories we bring back. It's feeling like you belong, rather than a life filled with belongings. It's the unexpected 6-star hospitality, rather than a 5-star badge. Because while first class is something you can buy, world class is everything we do. Welcome to world class. Welcome to Singapore Airlines.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Right? Why is it so good? It's a story, but it says everything about the product. It says everything about the DNA of the airline. Here's one of the favorite parts of this. It's a minute and 30-second ad. The last 5 seconds said, oh yeah, we're an airline. It's about the lifestyle, it's about the people, it's about that DNA. It's about that. So that comes us to the focus of your story and what the focus has to be. Now, if you've ever taken a marketing class, you learn about your USP, your unique selling proposition. Everybody has to have one. That defines your brand. And once again, remember your brand, your personality. The brand is a personality, but think about this internally too as your personal brand. Remember this? 6 out of 10 think a destination is about a brand. What is your brand? What is the brand of your product? What is the brand of your service? What is your personal brand? What is that personality, and how do you get that across? So I'm going to challenge you today for the brand, for your company, and for you. If you were a watch, what watch would you be? Would you be upscale? Would you be casual? Would you be fun? Would you be sport? And if you're upscale, which upscale? There's a big difference between Versace and Burberry. So think about these associations. Who would you want to be associated with? What is your brand? Your company, your destination, your person. If you're an outdoor clothing company, what would be your brand? What would be the association for you? If you were a car, what's the car of your city, of your company? That reflects on who you are, how I get picked up. Are you multi-talented? Do you have different ones, but you can keep that consistency with one brand? Is your brand a family? And how do you show that thread throughout all the brands of your family or your destination? And here's the most fun. If you were a destination, if you were a celebrity, for your destination, for your company, if you got to hire a spokesperson, who would be that spokesperson to represent you and the DNA of you, or your company, or your service? And then I'm going to challenge you one step further, because we've said you have to be unique. Now, that says, why should I come here? Now, every place can say, why here? I can say, why here? I can talk about Machu Picchu, I can talk about Thailand, and I can say, why here? Just like we could talk about, why should I come to this city? Right? Why here? That's the easy part, believe it or not, with your unique selling proposition. Why do I need to come here? I bet you have an answer. But now the question is not just your unique selling proposition, but why now? I want to go to the Great Barrier Reef, I want to go to Machu Picchu, I want to go to all these places, but why do I need to go now? Not only do you have to have a USP, you have to have a TSP, a timely celebration. So somehow you have to go from not only introducing yourself as to who I am, but why you need to be now. The bottom line is, whatever that is, remember, be yourself. Because the reality is, everyone else is already taken. And with that, I say thank you so much for your time.
That is what happens when you're busy taking down notes. Another round of applause, please, for Mr. Alan Elliott. Don't leave yet. Please take center stage so the photographers can take your snapshot right there, please. I know you've been in front for several minutes now, but yes, please go right ahead. By any chance, do we have any questions for him? Is there anyone who would like to ask? I'll probably allow one or two. Yes, go right ahead.
Hi, sir. Good morning. My name is Chessa. You can call me Josa. Joke. I'm from Camarines Sur Polytechnic Colleges po. Here's my question, sir. I find your topic really interesting because it's related to my master's thesis way back in my master's degree. So, in your talk, you have stated that authenticity is imperative. However, with the rise of digital marketing, content storytelling, social media, and technology, sometimes it's so hard to distinguish what's real or unreal. Fake news, over-marketing, exaggeration is all around. So my question is, what can be your advice to those destinations or organizations like us in the academe on how to keep our business or our marketing strategies more authentic with the onslaught of these technologies? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful question too.
Yeah, and a very timely question too. Some things are always going to be negative. That's just the reality. You know, there's an old expression that says positive news reaches 10 people, negative news reaches 100 people. And it could be as simple as reviews on TripAdvisor. One person says this wasn't good, and you've got to do it. The best thing is to engage with it, to engage with the negative. Don't let it lie there and say, well, we're just going to build more positive on it. You've got to see if there is negative to go out there and engage, but stay above the fray. I mean, that's the thing. If it's really low, ignore, but if it's a place where you can engage, then you have to come back and kind of, I don't want to say combat it, but engage with it and say, this is what's this, but here's our perspective of it. The technology, it's an ever-changing world, and we're going to have to change with this. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm old enough when people said, oh, this internet, it's going to destroy travel. People won't need to travel anymore. They're just going to sit at home and look at places. We're still out here. So I'm a big believer that the good will still outweigh the bad. We just have to work with it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me just make sure, do we still have time? Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause, please, for Mr. Alan Elliott Mershon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's take a look at the screen for the summary from our graphic recorder with regards to the topic that we just wrapped up. And get ready with your cameras. We always take a screenshot of what it is that we present with our graphic recorder. I was still busy writing down notes when I realized Sir Alan was already done. I had to run up because I loved how he was talking about your personal branding and about the time it's now. Just still jotting down notes. But then it's a good thing we have this. So just in case there are some notes or points that you may have missed or did not make as much of an impact on you when it was first said, because you were still busy writing down notes, at least you get to see it here and you will be reminded, and you'll have something very informative and entertaining and lovely to look at that you can enjoy. Let me just make sure. Okay, now before we have that, I promise we'll have that in just a few seconds. Right after this, we're going to take a little bit of a break to have some refreshments, to enjoy the refreshments. Let me do my announcements and then I'll go back to the summary in just a bit. We will have our coffee break to heighten our spirits. Not yet. Okay. Kayo naman, di nyo ako sinasabihan, dumadaldal pa ako eh. Ayan, tabi na po. Napansin ko na lang, all the cameras were up, which means, Jelly, tumabi ka. All right, telling stories to make people come. Get the right message to the right people at the right time. Define your audience. Each audience requires a different way of storytelling. You have to be logical and emotional. Like, what is your brand? USP, unique selling proposition. Aside from that, you also need to have your TSP, which is the timely selling proposition. Be yourself, because everybody else is already taken. What makes you unique? I will emphasize that again. Key points. Who are the key players? Who makes the decision? Where is it located? The destinations you visit say a lot about you. Look at how that guy is holding on to a magnet, attracting people with stories. Tell what you need to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause, please, for Mr. Alan Elliott Merskin, or Mershin. I need to verify again. Okay, just a bunch of announcements for later. Delegates are asked to attend the luncheon at Dusit. Buses will be at the Fountain Court to bring guests to the venue, but this is later during our lunch break. Security reminders for guests and attendees of MICECon 2023 farewell dinner. This is later tonight. You need to be at the venue promptly before 6 p.m. because at 6 p.m., at 6:01, gates will be closed, and no matter how much you plead and beg, they will not allow you in, okay? I have to emphasize that. Attendees or staff and organizers will be subjected to security check or frisking before entering the venue. Bottled water is not allowed in the area of engagement. Firearms and ammunition are also not allowed inside the engagement area. I don't think anyone's brought in even for props. Bringing of flammable materials such as lighters, matchsticks, aerosol sprays, and so on, also not allowed. Bringing of sharp objects like knives, scissors, blades, and so on, that is prohibited. Your sharp looks, however, are welcome. Okay, backpacks and bull caps are not allowed in the engagement area. Sling bags, purses, and shoulder bags may be allowed, but it will be subjected through a thorough security inspection at the entrance area. Wearing of a face mask shall be observed at all times, except, of course, when you're eating. Lockdown at the event area will be implemented 30 minutes prior to the arrival of the Vice President of the Philippines, all right? So keep all of that in mind. That's also another reason why we would like everyone to already be in the venue before we start the whole thing off. That way you don't miss out on anything, all right? Everyone's got that, but that is all for dinner, the farewell dinner. But I think everyone would like to hear that this announcement. That is it for the first part of our program. In a bit, we will begin the discussion for our third session. Wow, We're already done with 2 sessions just this morning. But before that, let us once again enliven our spirits, nourish our minds and bodies with a coffee break. So everyone, please enjoy the refreshments, and I'll see you all again later. Thank you.